solve 1 over 6x minus 12 minus 1 over x minus 2 equals 1/3. Again, we're going to rewrite this, but we need to factor that first denominator. Everything is easier with the denominators factored because then we can find the restrictions more easily as well as the LCD. Now, on the left-hand side, we can factor that 6x minus 12 by pulling out the GCF of 6. That leaves us with x minus 2 as the leftovers. Then we have minus 1 over x minus 2 equals 1/3. For the restrictions, we look in the denominators that have variables. Here we have x minus 2 as a denominator, so x minus 2 is not allowed to be 0. And if we add 2 to both sides, that gives us x is not equal to 2. So that is a restriction. If we look at the other denominator that has a factor with x in it, here also we can see that x minus 2 can't be 0. But that's the same inequality. It gives us the same restriction. And so the only restriction here is that x can't be 2. All right. Now we need to find the LCD. If we look at the denominators, we see that there are 3 and 6 as our numerical factors. The LCD between 3 and 6 is 6, so our LCD needs to have a 6 in it. It also has to have a factor of x minus 2 to take care of those x minus 2's. So the LCD here is going to be 6 times x minus 2. And now we need to multiply both sides of this equation by 6 times x minus 2 so that we can get rid of those denominators. We're going to have to distribute on the left. Let's look at this first term. Notice that the 6 and the x minus 2 in the denominator are going to cancel because we have a 6 and an x minus 2 out front. So when those cancel, all we're left with is the 1 in the numerator. So this first term is just going to become 1. Then minus, we have an x minus 2 for our denominator, and that's going to cancel with the x minus 2 out front. So we're left with the 6 times 1 is going to be 6. So on the left-hand side, we have 1 minus 6. On the right-hand side, if we look at this 1/3 times 6, 1/3 times 6 is 6/3, or just 2. So we're going to have 2 times x minus 2 on the right. Now on the left, 1 minus 6 is negative 5. And on the right, we can distribute that 2 to give us 2x minus 4. Now to get the x term alone, we need to get rid of that 4. So we add 4 on both sides. Negative 5 plus 4 is going to be negative 1. So we've got negative 1 equals 2x. And we divide both sides by 2 to get x alone. This gives us x equals negative 1/2. If we look at the restrictions, the only restriction was that x could not be 2. Negative 1/2 is a fine answer. And so we box it in, and this is our final answer. X equals negative 1/2.